Over there.
Yeah, going now. There you go. What's going on, people? Welcome back to another John Sinclair TV. Back again for another Newcastle United chat. And I've got Newcastle Will's a legend in my eyes, Mr. Charlie.
How are you doing, mate? I must apologise. John, mate. I was running a little bit late. I apologise to people watching. I was in McDonald's drive-through in West Denton, and it was just pure mayhem. The drive-through had been knocked off, so you go inside the McDonald's. It's like a war zone. People finishing work, the drive-through being off, and mate, I was waiting ages for my food, so I had to rip it back down to my house at about 50, 60 miles an hour, and here we are.
Wow, if you don't get the points, my guy. You're probably like Lewis
I'm realising I've just incriminated myself on the YouTube channel.
Wow, and that's what we got you on, Mr. B. That's what we got you on tonight. But don't get points on your license, miss. Whatever you do, you don't know what I mean. Last time I got caught speeding, that was about 11 years ago. So I told him that, okay, how many miles were you doing then? I mean, do you feel I was doing then? He goes, just going pretty fast. Goes, where's the poof? Sorry for the poof. You got nothing on us, haven't you, miss? So I'm getting back in and going home. He had no answer whatsoever, man.
Did you get pulled over by like an officer?
Yeah, I got pulled over by the officer.
I was going to say, if you've got the if the speed camera snaps you, they normally send you on one of them little courses, doesn't it?
They do, and I've been on the course before. I think I've been on it twice. It should be 3 years, but I've been on it twice in about 12 months. One of them for an accident, and the other one they started done for speeding, doing 36 and a 30, and I'm thinking, you know what? Wow. Not good. But we move, I guess.
How's it going anyways, brother? Are you keeping well?
Keeping well, bro.
When was the last time? When was the last time I would have bumped into you? I've bumped into you a couple of times, mainly like away games and stuff, haven't I?
I think it was against West Ham. West Ham away.
No, I seen you after that. It was I think it was Fulham in the cup.
Oh, of course.
Were you right at the back of the away end?
I was way at the back.
I remember bumping into you.
Way at the back, doing me vlog sort of thing. I prefer to go at the back, to be honest with you, sort of thing, right at the very back sort of thing. Then, I still get people come up to say, "Oh, John, can I have a selfie, please? Can I have a selfie?" Of course you can. Step in, like, you know, and you always do. So, and it's just fantastic, man, because all it is, you ask you for a selfie, do it, man, because at the end of the day, as a YouTuber, as a vlogger, you just have to give them what they want, basically. Do you know what I mean? But you did get some daft ones out there.
What you're saying, like, John, are you becoming like a little bit of a local celebrity? Is that what you're trying to say?
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to pull you down a few pegs, I think.
No.
If you get a little bit too big for your boots, mind.
Yeah, no. It's not me. I wouldn't do that. I'm not going to be. There's a few YouTubers and that sort of. I'm just be you. I'm just one of the other fans. You know, I'm just Newcastle fans like everybody else, which is good. So I'll just be you, and just just do the best you can. But yeah, you're right. Just got to calm down a bit. Sorry. So, guys, if you like what you watch, make sure you hit the like button, hit the subscribe button as well. Do follow Charlie Bennett on social media as well. Super Chat's open as well for just 99p. And if you'd like to become a member, it's just 99p. Super Chats, you just give what you got, and it's up to you. God bless you, Mr. Smith. Hope you're good. And there is the link if you like to become a member. So just go into that and you'll be a member. And big up to Pete. Hope you're well. And so this season, Charlie, I mean, look, so you see so far, basically, I mean, look, we're getting points, winning games, right? Do you think you've been playing well this season?
I think the last couple of games have been an improvement. Obviously, Man City at home. It's easier to get up for a Man City at home. You know, when a bigger team comes to St James's Park, I cannot remember too many times under Eddie Howe when Newcastle have been battered. They're always, you know, when the crowd's behind them and everything.
Yeah.
I always thought Everton was going to be the test to see whether that was just a flash in the pan or whether it was they had turned the corner. And I think performance-wise, I did think the Everton game was an improvement. They should have won that game, really. I mean, Gordon missed a penalty and he missed a big chance.
Yeah.
I think if there had been a Callum Wilson or an Alexander Isak playing, I think they would have probably nicked that game in the end. Performance levels seem to be going up. You know, Newcastle are they're in a solid position. just outside the top 4 places, but they've got a bit of a tricky run coming up, I believe. Obviously, Brighton at home's next, isn't it? And then
we've got.
And then am I right? Is it Chelsea in the cup, and then Chelsea in
Chelsea Cup in the league as well,
and then Arsenal.
Arsenal falls to away. Then we've got.
I think by the time the start of November comes around, be about 10 games or so into the season, I think you'll have a good idea of where Newcastle is going to be.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, look, we're getting the points without playing well for the first 4 or 5 games. And yes, we got done by Fulham. And I believe in this team. And for me, if you think about it, right, yes, we're missing Isak at the moment in time. And the midfield, I'd like to see Tonali starting a bit more, which he's been doing now. He's getting a lot of games now. Bruno had a good game Saturday, I thought. Joe Linton, slightly better for me. But, yeah. And
it was weird. How did you view Joe Linton's performance, John? Because I'll give him. I'll be honest here. I was watching the game in the pub, so my vision was a little bit blurry or whatever. But he was my man in the match. I thought he was an absolute beast. Yes, he was a little bit sloppy sometimes in the final third, but for me, he was Newcastle's best player, and I saw a lot of people agreeing. A lot of people were agreeing on my tweet. But then a few people were saying that he was terrible. It seemed to be one of them sort of Marmite performances.
Yeah, I thought he was much better. He was much better. I thought he won the ball a couple of times. His final ball could be better. But at the end of the day, right, let's be honest. I love Joe Linton. Yeah, I love Joe Linton. But that was his best game of the season. That was his best game of the season for me. I thought he did well. And, okay, his passing not the best there, but you know what it is? I'm a fan of Joe Linton. That guy should be in the team sheet. Yeah, I know people say drop him, but no, I think he's been good.
I think that was definitely his best performance since the first game of the season. Like I said, I thought he was his best. I thought he was the best player. Certainly for Newcastle, I would have probably give Pickford man of the match if I was picking out of both teams. But I thought Joe Linton was definitely Newcastle's best player. Yeah,
I totally agree. I thought Bruno Guimaraes is good as well. I thought he was really good. I thought at the end of the day, it was about Anthony Gordon. We got to touch on Anthony Gordon. Yes, for me personally, I didn't think he should take that penalty. I think Fabian Schär should have took it. But at the end of the day, I thought he did well. I thought he didn't let the emotions get him a bit. You know what I mean? He just got on with it. He chased, and you know what? I thought he did okay, despite the penalty miss.
Yeah, I didn't think he had a good game, but I couldn't fault it for his. I couldn't fault him for his effort though. Like even in the second half, when from the first minute, he was getting booed, wasn't he? He was like the pantomime villain. He was like the pantomime villain for Everton. He missed that pen, and it would have been easy for him to sort of go hiding in the game.
Yeah, didn't go hiding.
He was always wanting the ball. He was always wanting to make the runs and behind and stuff. But just solely on the fact that obviously he messed up a couple of times in the box, he missed a 1-on-1 and he missed a penalty. I wouldn't say he had a great game, but he's got that attitude about him where he'll keep going and he believes in himself, and for that you give him credit.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, at the end of the day, we love Anthony Gordon. When he puts on the black and white shirt on, we're going to get for Anthony 100% every week. Okay, he had a stinker against Fulham. I can't lie. However, when he does play, I think he'll be back to his best. And I'm so glad. Well, he hasn't signed a contract yet, but I'm so glad when he does so.
Yeah, but I think that contract's done and dusted. I think the club just haven't announced it yet. But it's going to be interesting what happens after the international break, John, because he's going to have Isak back. He's going to have Wilson back. You would think Isak goes straight in the team. Agreed. Obviously, you'll have Barnes and Gordon fit. He's going to have all his attacking options available for the first time this season. Mm-hmm. So, because I think that's what's been hindering Newcastle a little bit. Definitely in the last 2 games, they haven't really had any attacking options to come off the bench. Because obviously he was playing Barnes or Gordon the first few games of the season. It was either or, and then when they were both in the team, the only attacking options on the bench were Almiron, who most people would agree he's not a game changer, and Osula, who's obviously still learning the ropes. He's still an unproven player. But when you've got Isak and Wilson there, obviously they'll have more options. If it gets to 65, 70 minutes and they need to bring someone off the bench, like Callum Wilson would have been perfect the other day. Like, in the amount of times the ball was in the box, it was dying for a sort of clinical goal scorer in the box, a poacher's instinct. And I think it'll be interesting after the international break, mate.
Yeah, it'd be very interesting. I mean, it'd be interesting when Eddie's got have all his attacking options on shore. Wilson to come back.
That is until Wilson gets injured again, mind.
Yeah, exactly. We don't wish it on him, but it's just, I'm afraid to say, Charlie, but you know, he's been there for quite a while. I know people are saying that he should be moved on, but do you think he should be moved on? Do you think because at the end of the day,
I mean, I do. I rate him.
I know you like him. I like him as well.
I rate him. I don't think there's a Newcastle fan out there who would say Callum Wilson's a bad player. But I don't think there's a Newcastle player out there that'll say he's a reliable player. Do you know what I mean? I think the stat that might have even went a little bit high. Now, the last time I was checking, since he's actually signed for Newcastle 4 years ago, he's missed 39% of Newcastle's Premier League games. That isn't good enough. They could have got money from him in the summer. There was obviously rumours in January as well that he was linked to Atletico Madrid and Chelsea. I think, look, in hindsight, it would have probably been better to move him on. But Eddie Howe said towards the back end of last season, he went, look, with FFP and the PSR situation, how much would it cost Newcastle to replace somebody like Callum Wilson? Which is true, but if he's not fit, then what good's that anyways? You know what I mean? So when Isak and Wilson are rotating, hopefully when they come back after the international break, I think that might benefit. Because on his days, he's a proper Premier League striker, isn't he? He's always going to score your goals.
100%, because, you know, Callum Wilson's been great servant for us, like, you know what I mean? But you're right. I mean, the moment they offered 18 million quid from Atletico Madrid, personally, I would have took that money, to be fair. And that's no disrespect to Callum. We all love Callum. But in my opinion, I think he should have took that money for Atletico Madrid. And I think he'd been okay there. But, yeah, we're going to come on to PSR later on and Man City later on as well, what's going to happen to Newcastle. But, yeah, you touched on Osula there as well. I mean, look, he's only young. He's cost us 15 mil, right? But for me, I mean, look, he hasn't scored goals in the Premier League, right? But we've got to give the guy a chance, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's weird because I can't admit to have said I saw a lot of them at Sheffield United, but just in what he's in the friendly and a pre-season against Brest he played, didn't he? And then in a couple of substitute appearances, and obviously he's played against Wimbledon in the Cup. From what you're seeing of him, it looks like Newcastle have tried to sign a young striker who was a sort of similar profile to Isak. He's sort of tall, he's a bit gangly, he looks like he can beat a player. But he's got good feet for his height. He's obviously quick in behind. I think it's somebody who Eddie Howe on the training ground could probably get his teeth stuck into and improve. But obviously it's a long-term signing, isn't it? I would have liked to have seen him come on last week, though, because, I mean, tried and tested on one who, to be fair, actually played Ari when he come on. Mm-hmm. But Osula, I think he would give you a bit more presence up front. Gordon never really gives you that. He's for all Gordon does give you, running in behind, and he's good on the ball. He doesn't really give you much of a presence up front. I think Osula probably would have given that a little bit more. But Eddie Howe's a manager, isn't he?
Yes, indeed. And touch on Eddie as well. I mean, we love Eddie, and I know people say he's not a big enough name for Newcastle, but for me, I'm going to say it now. I'll back me manager. I'm going to back Eddie as long as he's here. Yeah, because what he's done, he saved us from relegation, got us Champions League, and missed out. Missed out on European football because Man United won the FA Cup, and that was it. But do you think, man? I'll get a lot of people on my channel, right? Do you think Eddie Howe needs to be ruthless on the players, picking his favourites all the time?
I think the argument would have held up last season. I think this season, I think if he had it his way, Newcastle would have been backed more in the transfer market. You know what I mean? They would have signed a right winger. They would have signed a centre back. He's effectively playing with a similar squad to what Newcastle have had for the past 2 seasons. You know what I mean? Like, obviously, Tonali's come back off his ban and Barnes has come back from injury, but it's been 3 transfer windows now where Newcastle haven't signed a player who would like improve the starting 11.
Yeah.
So I think Newcastle haven't got the biggest squad in the league. So when you say favourites, I mean, who do you think should be dropped? I mean, I don't know. There isn't any players that are on the bench that I would be screaming to be in the team. Get what I mean?
Okay.
But Tonali, to be fair, but I think Tonali's went through the same process that most players have been through when they've sort of just came into the team. Eddie Howe's like to ease them in, and then you've seen in the past couple of games, Tonali's obviously started and he's done all right. So you look at the bench against Everton. I mean, there's nobody on that bench who would be Willock maybe, but he wouldn't get in my best Newcastle team.
Fair enough.
So like I don't know who else should be playing other than the team that he has been picking, to be fair.
Yeah, and this is it. This is why we haven't really got a strong bench. I mean, people say to us, "Oh, we got a strong bench. Got a strong bench." Do you know what I mean? However, right? I mean, who's going to change the game? I mean, we watched Jacob Murphy, right? He's been poor the last few games. I'm not going to lie. Okay, he did that assist against RVB, but at the end of the day, I like Jacob Murphy. But what's your take on him about Jacob? I mean,
he's bang average. Jacob Murphy was the player, right? Jacob Murphy was the player. If you were watching the game in the pub or you were at the match or whatever, so let's say the pub for argument's sake, and it gets to 65, 70 minutes. Rafa Benitez is the manager. Steve Bruce is the manager. 65 minutes, it comes on the big screen. Or substitution for Newcastle United. The camera pans to Murphy. The whole bench, the whole bar would go, "Oh, not him, man." Do you know what I mean? And Jacob Murphy's been that player. Jacob Murphy's been that player at Newcastle for 7 years or whatever it's been. So he's not terrible as a squad player. I'm not saying to get rid of him or anything, but if Newcastle are serious about being regular Champions League contenders, Jacob Murphy isn't the man that they should have on the right wing. Same with Almiron. Newcastle needs someone who is just as good as Anthony Gordon on the opposite side, and then you would have a proper front line.
Fact. I mean, the people say to us and say, "Oh, he's Jacob Murphy. He's a good player. Miguel Almiron, he works hard and runs about but the thing is, though, Charlie, they're not going to win me cups. They're not going to win me a title. Do you know what I mean? They're not going to be making us top championship contenders, title contenders. There's no way." And you mentioned there, I mean, and I agree with you. Jacob's been there for 7, 8 years, right? And what has he improved? Miguel Almiron been at Newcastle since 2019. What has he improved? Do you know what I mean? Is there something different? I mean, yes, he scored 12 goals the previous season, but the question I have to ask myself is, can Miggy kick on from scoring that 12 goals, kick on and move it on to the following season? And people are saying, like, okay, he's the first player to score the Champions League goal in 20 years, right? But he's got to do it every week.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, I mean, we saw it against Tottenham Hotspur about a month or so ago. Emil Kraft come into the team and he was arguably man of the match for Newcastle. There are players in the squad like your Kraft, and I would put Murphy in that category as well. They would be happy to be squad players.
Great.
They'd be happy to now they're not going to play every week and to just, I don't want to say make up the numbers because that's sort of disrespectful, but happy to know the role in the squad. They're not going to be knocking on the manager's door saying, "I need to be playing this week." I think Murphy fits into that category. I don't think he's someone that they should just, get rid of him, he's shite or whatever. I think he's somebody that Newcastle needs someone better than him playing right wing without a shadow of a doubt. He's quite versatile. He plays on the right predominantly. He can play on the left. He even played right wing back a couple of times in Newcastle. I wouldn't say bomb him out. I think he'd be a useful squad player. But like I said, mate, in terms of actually getting in the top 4 and regularly and challenging the big boys, he's not the man for the team sheet.
No. Very not, and you know what it is. That should have been sorted out in over the summer, because we had all that time getting right side of mid, yeah, and we haven't got one. I know. Why do you sell so minty? People say it's because of PSR, yeah, and we're going to come on to that later on. I mean, the PS is look what he's doing at Brighton. He's done all right there at the moment in time, but this is the thing. There's other players, Charlie, I would have got rid of first before Jan Kuba. Do you know what I mean? It's crazy, man. And Elliot Anson's the one as well. We should never got rid of that guy. We shouldn't.
And but I jinxed Tottenham the other day, mate. I don't know if you've seen it on Twitter.
I did.
Did you see it?
I did.
I tweeted saying, what's Minty done? Like, he's done nothing since he signed for Brighton. Then next thing you know, bang, he's scored. And Brighton come from 2-0 down. So all the Spurs fans have got me to thank for that one.
Absolutely. I mean, we are Tottenham TV. We are Tottenham TV. I love you, man. I've got a guy called Brian Dago as well. Tottenham on tour. Do subscribe to his channel, people. I'll tell you what. I mean, Brian's a great lad. He's on my channel twice. That's only because Spurs got beat. And you know what? I've got to cheer him up every time. Do you know what I mean? But big up to Brian.
Did you watch that game? Did you watch the match?
Which one?
Tottenham Brighton.
I did. I mean,
Tottenham actually looked. I messaged my group chat that I'm in with the boys, and I said at half time, I mean, Spurs look good here. Spurs actually look like a proper good team. Yeah. Away from home, they were absolutely bossing it. Second half, I was hiding a shirt on, I was hiding my jeans on, I was getting ready to go out. Next thing you know, I'm out to pause the taxi because Spurs are getting spanked on the total U-turn on the game. It was like watching two different teams, really.
I know. I mean, you're talking about Brighton as well. I thought Brighton would look better second half. I'll tell you what, we got to be on our game, Charlie, because I tell you what, if they play like that against us, we don't fix up, then we could be in trouble against these. I mean, look, Brighton's going to be a tough game. I know that. But hopefully we get Isak or Wilson back in. One of those two I'd take.
Yeah, I would imagine Isak's probably more likely to be back before Wilson.
Agreed.
That's not going off any information I've got. It's just you just know Wilson could declare himself fit and then wake up for breakfast tomorrow morning and bang his toe on a coffee table or something and put it out until Christmas. You know, do you know what I mean?
I know what you mean. Oh, love it, man. Love it. Big up, man. Big up to Alan Little. Hope you are, Alan. Alan, hope you're great. And I've got 225 people watching with X and YouTube. Please leave a comment in the section and smash the likes as well, guys. If you could do that, that'd be brilliant. Thanks so much indeed. And good for you, Tony. Hope you're well. And Tony's in Tony's group chat as well. So he is a good guy. And yeah, I want to talk about as well. I mean, Newcastle making European football next season. Can you actually see Newcastle finishing the top 6 this season?
100%. I mean, we touched on. I got a bit of stick in the summer because I said I thought the media was sleeping on Newcastle for the top 4. Now that wasn't me declaring Newcastle. I think Newcastle are going to finish in the top 4. You just look at the history books and you see how many teams have managed to, especially when you get to March, April, May time. You know, the fatigue of the season, there's some tired legs of the teams that have had European football and stuff. And Newcastle are going to, obviously they'll have the cup games. If fingers crossed, if Newcastle are still in the cup. Newcastle have a clear run in it. And I think Eddie Howe's starting to figure out his best team.
Yeah.
Yes, the result wasn't there, Everton, but the performance has improved in the past couple of weeks. And I think once the attacking options come back, I think, especially after this international break, I think you will start to see a more settled, more consistent Newcastle team. But obviously, I said before, this next little run of form, this next little run of fixtures is going to be tested. I think by 10 games into the new season, you'll start of November time after the Forest away game, you'll have a good idea of where Newcastle can go. But in terms of finishing in the top 6, I don't see why not. I mean, you've got obviously City, Arsenal, Liverpool. That's going to be your top 3, whatever order that is. Chelsea, it sounds weird saying Chelsea are surprise packages because, you know, 2-time Champions League winners, the great teams that they've had. But nobody expected them to sort of be up there fighting for the top 4 this season. Mm-hmm. You're probably looking at Chelsea, Villa, Spurs, even though they've got beat up Brighton, and Newcastle sort of fighting for that 4th and 5th spot. And don't forget, 5th, if the English teams do well in Europe this season, 5th could well open up another door for Champions League football. So I think Newcastle just need to look at it as a glass half full, mate. And obviously missing out on Europe last season was a bit of a sickener for the fans, especially when they were chanting Europe again in the away end and stuff. Mm-hmm. But I think I think anyhow's settling on his best team, and I think they'll be all right.
Yeah, and injuries didn't help us at all last season as well. That played a major part. We missed our key players, 12, 13 players out, and that killed us big time. But we did well to finish 7th last season, but hopefully a better season this season coming up. Yeah, but I think you're right. I mean, the thing is, I love to see us win a trophy, man. We haven't won a trophy since 1955 domestically. 1969 is the last time we won it. But 69 years, Charlie, it's just way too much for Newcastle to be waiting. 69, yeah, man.
Can you remember that, John? Can you remember the last time Newcastle won a trophy? I don't know whether you're still in school or...
No, I was born in 1960.
I'm joking, man. I know you're not that old.
I mean, you're quite young as well, so you're young.
I didn't feel it, mate. When especially we're starting to creeping towards the big 3-0. I'll be 30 in a few years, and I'm starting to feel it already.
Bloody hell! I'm 55. Flip her neck. Not shy telling me age, you know what I mean? But most people knows my age. But you know what? At the end of the day, that's a long time, my guy.
Mate, you think that people our age haven't seen a trophy. Mate, there's people as like granddads and stuff who like cannot remember Newcastle winning a trophy. That's how embarrassing. Like I've sort of say the word embarrassing. It is embarrassing, really. A club the size of Newcastle. I mean, when Newcastle had won 6 FA Cups, by the time Liverpool had won the first FA Cup in the 60s, and now Liverpool have won whatever they won, 9 or whatever, and Newcastle are still stuck on 6. That's sort of how trophy starved the North East as a whole. Really, it's not just Newcastle. I mean, even the Macnams and even Middlesbrough won the League Cup 20 odd years ago or so. But I think ask most Newcastle fans, mate, and you may get the odd one that'll say, no, FFP, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
I think most would take a trophy over Champions League, any form of Euro. Obviously, you get European football for finishing, for winning the FA Cup and that, but especially over the Champions League, I think most would accept the trophy, mate. It's one of them to tick off the bucket list, things to do before you die. If a little genie came out with a bottle and give you 3 wishes, most people would say, I want to see Newcastle win a trophy, wouldn't they?
100%. I mean, football is all about winning trophies. Yeah, and I did a poll out, I think it's about a few months ago, and people come to us and say, John, Champions League over a trophy. And I think to yourself, so you don't want to win a trophy then? Football's all about winning trophies, yeah? I want to see yourself and yous and everyone else as well. I want to see Newcastle lifting that trophy. Because whoever it is, they're in the book. I mean, you mentioned granddads and kids or whatever sort of thing. They don't want to see us just win that. Do you know what I mean? And
you've seen it, mate, for the Carabao Cup final 18 months ago, whatever it was. You've seen how many fans went down to Wembley, even like without a ticket, and it'll be the same again. Like if they were to get to another final, like Newcastle win the trophy. Like I know you live down the country. I've lived in Newcastle all my life. Obviously the final would be on a Sunday or whatever. If it was a Carabao Cup, mate, there would be no one at work the next day. Like people would be like off school and that. It would be mental, especially if it was like the league. Say if the Saudi takeover ended up going into Super Drive and they won the league in 5-10 years time or whatever, mate, it would be mental. And I wasn't around in 95, 96. I can only imagine what it would have been like if Keegan had won the league that season. It would have just been absolutely mental.
Yeah, absolutely right. I mean, 12 points clear. And
it hurts me. It hurts me. It breaks my heart, and I wasn't even alive.
I know. And we bottled the league, man. I don't care what people say. We bottled it. And people come up to us and say, no, we didn't bottle the league. Man, you were too good. But no, we bottled it. We should have had it. I mean, we got a comment from Alan as well. We got to touch on that as well. Any questions to Charlie B? Just let us know. Lads, I was watching Keith Patterson talk about Newcastle fans having a great opportunity to take the Premier League to court over conspiracy of the Red Cartel. Alan's got a point there, Charlie. I mean, look, we're going to touch on that as well. Now City's won against the Premier League. Is that good news for Newcastle now to start actually spending some money once?
Well, the interesting thing is that the interesting thing is that the sort of the hearing from it said that it was unlawful, said that the associated party transaction rules were unlawful, which to any sort of reasonable person would know that would mean that, like, obviously the findings sided with Man City. So Man City claimed the victory, but then the Premier League also weirdly put like this sort of Trumpian sort of statement out, sort of declaring their own sort of victory. So I think it's going to be interesting, like, the aftermath of how all that sort of plays out. The fact Newcastle were named in the documents and stuff, because obviously the ruling came to be since after the Newcastle takeover. I think that'll be interesting, mate. I think it's something that they'll definitely be looking at.
Yeah,
they're definitely going to be scrutinised, and not just Newcastle. I think it's going to be every team in the Premier League.
Yeah, I think the things at the end of the day, in my opinion, is unlawful. It's just unfair competition, like, you know, because once you had a takeover, I don't know if it's true or not, but all the other clubs who are talking to the Premier League saying, we got to do something about this. We've got to stop Newcastle from spending. That's exactly what they've done. And I'm glad, Charlie, Man City took them on and did something about it. Do you know what I mean? But I just hope, right, and again, people are telling me as well, that the Premier League's going to change the rules to make it harder for us to compete. I don't think that's true, man. We got to compete. We can have what sponsors we want, yeah? And the Premier League can't do a thing about it. You know, it's our club. You do what you want.
Yeah, I mean, that's been the big gripe with the takeover, hasn't it? I mean, Amanda Staveley, when she rocked up on takeover day, and she was saying, you know, within 5-10 years, we're going to be winning the Premier League. After the cup final, we're going to be winning the lot. Champions League, FA Cup, she was saying to Jim White, and anyhow sort of realigned that for Newcastle in the summer. And I think that obviously that's been the big gripe, has it, the FFP, PSR. If the Saudis had came into football 10 years earlier, you'd be looking at Newcastle now following the same sort of blueprint as Man City. So if there's any sort of leeway given on the rules, I think Newcastle are going to be all over it.
100%. And got one here from Martin. Hi to you. Hope you're well. And that's my mate JS Tanit. Hope you're okay. Big up to Coffee. Hope you're well. And I replied back to you yesterday. And thanks for liking the comment as well, Coffee. Yeah. So look, excuse me. At the end of the day, right? I mean, I think Newcastle need to get that chance to spend, and they need to do something, man. If you do, it's
weird, mate. Because sorry to interrupt you there. The current rules. I tweeted the other day, like, investment isn't a dirty word. Like, if somebody wanted to invest in a business or invest in, I don't know, like, buy their own home or something and do it up, like, why should somebody be stopped from investing in a football club when the club's debt free? I saw that graph the other day, and it was like Everton owed 450 million to the owner. Chelsea owed so much, and I think Arsenal were up there. But then you still see Chelsea sort of gerrymandering the FFP rules, selling hotels and blah blah blah. You just think, Newcastle are debt free. Why should the owners not be allowed to actually invest in the club? It doesn't really make sense. It wouldn't really apply to any other walk of life, stopping something from investing in a business.
Yeah, crazy. Got one from first, but I'm not going to read it out. But I'll try to change it as well. Does Charlie think we have a chance of signing in January, buying players in January? That's from first, so I'm not going to read the rest of it.
What did the rest of it say? But
it's on DM. It's my DM.
Was it?
It's on my DM.
Well, I mean, they're under pressure to do so straight away. Obviously, with all the fallout from the summer and everything, and obviously there's been reports that they're still interested in Mark Gay. I'm not sure if that one would happen. I can't see Crystal Palace 5 months after rejecting, 55, 60 million or whatever, allowing them to leave. I think that for 55, 60 million, I think that would definitely make them look a bit foolish. But 100% the pressure's on, especially on Paul Mitchell to deliver in January. So I think there'll definitely be movement made 100%. And shout out to Fez anyways, he's a good lad, and our Fez.
Yeah. Fez, that mate, big up Charlie. But
right sided attacker, a right winger. That's got to be the aim for me. I've been saying it since day one of the takeover. Almiron and Murphy were Newcastle's right wing options on day one of the takeover. 3 years down the line, it's exactly the same situation. You write Newcastle's best team doing on paper, right wing sticks out like a sore thumb, in my opinion, anyway.
Yeah, absolutely right. I mean, look, totally right, Charlie. Big up to Queen of Heart, Mary. Hope you're well, Mary. Welcome back to the channel. Hope you're okay. And there's gone through a few things, but I'm glad she's back. Love to Mary. Lads, with all this conspiracy coming out to the Premier League, can you see a Super League starting up?
Well, it's weird because we were speaking was it off air before we were talking about the new Champions League format, and that looks like the sort of precursor to a Super League in itself. I don't know whether when the Super League stuff sort of kicked off a few years ago, if the new rules have sort of came into sort of like on the back of that to sort of like pander to the big teams maybe, because that new Champions League format looks like it's sort of getting that way already. And now you said you were a fan of it, John, but I'm not 100% sold on it yet.
Nah, not for me at the minute. Not for me. But Man City would definitely want to be in the Super League anyway. But I'm not a fan of it because the thing is, though, if there's going to be a Super League, right? Again, it's all about the money, right? It's all about protecting the big clubs again, right? And what's going to happen? What's going to happen? You know what I mean? But this is just for the big clubs. But I'm glad the big clubs backed out. They had to back out, Charlie, because
I mean, they didn't want. I don't think they wanted to. I don't think Chelsea and Man City were too bothered about it. But the American, obviously Chelsea have got American owners now, but the American-owned teams like Man United, Liverpool, and Arsenal at the time, I think they were the ones that were sort of pushing it a little bit more than the other teams. I don't think Man City were with that. I think Man City, if I might be wrong here, I think Man City were the first English team to back out, and the rest sort of followed. The one thing I can definitely see it happening in our lifetime, though. That's the thing. I think the main thing that was sticking point for fans is that there was no like competition in it. It was like an American sort of sports league where there was no relegation or anything. And obviously, all the European teams are looking at the cream that the Premier League are getting every season, all the financial rewards, your Real Madrids and stuff. They were sort of pushing for it hard as well. So I wouldn't rule it out. I wouldn't rule it out in the next 10 to 20 years or so. But right now, I think it's dead and buried, especially with the new Champions League format underway.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, though, I mean, too many change now. They got this stupid World Club Football 2025 next season around June, July time. Again, that's down to FIFA. The players are not happy with it. Even Don Carlo, right? I mean, Ancelotti, by the way, right? I mean, he didn't even want it as well. You know, I mean, he's furious about it. And you know what? Do you think it's too much football being played? There's got to be a break.
Well, I think. I mean, I'm a man who likes a cheeky flutter on the football. Put it that way. I like to put the odd fiver on, the odd tenner on, and I have been thinking that lately. Like, there's just so much on. Obviously, you've always had your lower leagues, your championships, and that. But with there being more Champions League games, and then you've got the Conference League now, obviously the Europa League. There is a lot of football. I mean, I'm not complaining. I absolutely love football. I love my sport, but I don't really feel sorry for the players either. I mean,
yeah,
me and you are earning the crust every single day, so I don't feel sorry for everybody's sort of childhood dream was to be a professional footballer. I don't feel sorry for them fatigue-wise. Like it was sort of ironic, that week, wasn't it, when you had Rodri. You know, Rodri did this big thing when he said footballers are going to go on strike, and a few days later he done his ACL. But I think he'd only played like 3 games since like the Euros final, so I think that was just a big coincidence.
Yeah, I mean, Rodri's a big miss, by the way.
Oh, huge.
Oh, world class. It's a CDM you'll love to have your football club.
It definitely made the game easier for Newcastle as well. A few days 100%. Later, or whatever it was, when obviously like De Bruyne out as well. that gave Newcastle a big boost, I think.
Absolutely. Let's go into coffee. I hope you're well. We're now known as the Blue Cartel instead of the Red Cartel. He means because Man City's on their case asking coffee. Let's have a laugh. Big up to Wacky. Hope you're well and hope you're having a good evening there, mate. Yeah, I mean, look, at the end of the day, this PSR thing, all right, do you think it's here to stay or do you think it should just get rid? Because one of the top guys yesterday, right, through the course saying that this PSR thing should be scrapped altogether because he thinks it's not working.
Well, hey, I think if Newcastle fans had the way, it would be scrapped altogether. I don't think they'll scrap it altogether. They're already talking about sort of realigning it with closer to how UEFA's do it. I think UEFA, you're allowed 70% or 75% wages to revenue or something along them. It's like it's done by like how much revenue you get compared to how much wages you pay, rather than like if over 105 million over a 3-year limit. So I do think there'll be tweaks to it, especially like in last season, you had teams sort of really feeling the brunt with it, with points deductions and stuff. Newcastle are sort of looking handicapped. The thing is, the consequences weren't really known until PSR came into effect. Back in the day, in the 60s and the 70s, in the 80s, you know, you had teams like Wolves and obviously Tottenham won the league in the 60s. Everton were good in the 80s. You had different teams sort of competing. But whereas FFP has made the teams that made the most money at that specific time have just stayed that way. There's never really been a team that's broken into the elite of the Premier League for more than a season or so. It's always been the teams that make the most money are always going to be there or thereabouts since these FFP rules came in. And that wasn't always the case with English football.
No, I think the Premier League, in my opinion, is protecting the big six. They are. They don't want anyone else upsetting the other 14 clubs like ourselves, Villa, West Ham, Brighton. They don't want to spend money. They don't want us upsetting the big six. They've got their Super League. You touched on Super League, Charlie. In my opinion, I think the Premier League has got their own Super League. And that is just how they want it. Do you know what I mean? I've thought this out for months.
Well, there's no reason why Premier League teams should really want it, Super League. Like, just pure greed, really. Like I mentioned before, your Real Madrids and your Barcelonas were proper twerking for the Super League, yet Premier League teams didn't really need to do that. I think obviously just coming out of COVID and stuff, a lot of European teams were hit really hard financially, especially Barcelona. The Premier League have got this golden egg here for the past 20 years or so. They don't really need a Super League.
Don't need it at all. Don't need it. We make enough money, but football's a money game. Lads, so if Eddie not giving William Masula much game time, can you see him going out on loan in Jan if we sign a striker? I think a striker would have to come in because in case, but Masula, do you think, like I said, can you see him moving away out in January on loan?
No, I don't. I think he's somebody that Eddie Howe wants to get his teeth stuck into. I mean, even right now, he's third choice striker. I thought last week he should have got, like, he should have had more of an impact, even arguably against Man City, where, you know, when the game of Newcastle was sort of finished that game strongly. And I kind of see him going out on loan. Nah, not for me. I think he's somebody that Eddie Howe's going to want in and around the training with the, you know, the Newcastle players and stuff, learning the ways of the club, the style of play that Eddie Howe likes, the fitness levels. I think he's going to be someone that he wants to improve in-house rather than send him away. Yeah,
I think so. He's going to have to learn from, I mean, I like to see him guessing game time. And but you know what, I can't say, I agree with you, Charlie, I can't see him moving anywhere soon because he's just joined and he'll learn, see what happens next season. If he doesn't get a game with us next season, then that could be a possibility. Surely should go for Bumo. I think he's a really good player for Brentford, but I don't know if Thomas Frank's going to let him go.
Yeah, well, he's the main man now, isn't he? Now Ivan Toney's went. I mean, I've got him in my fantasy team. And Buemo, I think he's an unbelievable player. We mentioned before, Newcastle needs someone just as good as Anthony Gordon on that right-hand side. Yeah. Plus, he can play through the middle as well up front. So that would, the comment before that said Newcastle going to sign a striker in January. Buemo would be like two birds with one stone, so to say. So he would be the dream sign. And I did say that to someone on Twitter the other day.
Yeah.
I can't see it happening, though. I think Brentford, for the value that he is to their team, I cannot see them letting him go in January. I think he might be the next sort of Ivan Toney saga, where there's always going to be a big team linked with taking him from Brentford, and he might go in a year or so. But he would certainly get in the Newcastle team, and he would certainly improve it.
And Semenyo for Bournemouth as well can walk into Newcastle team straight away. And I'll tell you what,
I wasn't aware that he actually played for Sunderland on loan for like 7 games. I didn't know that until the other day. But
Semenyo played for Sunderland
on loan, like for about 7 games or so. He did. I wasn't looking 5 years ago or so, 4 or 5 years ago. I didn't know that myself, mate, till the other day. But he's another one. He's in my fantasy team as well. He caused Newcastle all sorts of problems when Newcastle were down there at the start of the season. He looks like a real player as well. He's sort of coming into his own the past sort of 6 to 9 months.
Absolutely. I think this guy's a really good winger. And there's plenty out there. Semenyo as well. I mean, no disrespect to Brentford and Bournemouth, respectively, but we're a bigger club. And I think if you join us, that'd be brilliant, but I'd take either of those two all day long. The outcome of the emergency meeting will be, it stays the same, with the clubs having to prove that deals aren't overvalued. But how can they judge what's fair value when clubs increasing revenue? Now, the thing is, right, Racky's made a good point there. Basically, right, I mean, what I'm saying, right, I mean, like Vlachodimos, 22 mil? I mean, it's better, it's like, how do I put it? I mean, like, you scratch your back, you scratch our legs, and sort of thing, looking after sort of thing to beat the PSR thing, yeah. But I think clubs have done it. Everton's done it with Chelsea and Villa. We did it at Forest to beat the PSR. So, and the Premier League wants to investigate this as well. I don't know what you think of that.
It's like it's another sort of Chelsea did it with Aston Villa as well. Villa signed Ian Matson and Chelsea signed Omari Kellyman, like some young player from the academy. Don't even think he played a game for Villa for like 20 odd million. It's almost like when they bring a rule to eradicate something, there's always a loophole or a way around it. It's like the ban smoking, vaping comes out. You know what I mean? It's a little bit like that with the FFP. I definitely think that's something that the Premier League are going to be looking at. If they were clamping down on fair value sponsorships, what's to say they're not going to clamp down on fair value player training as well?
That makes sense, doesn't it? But
it's annoying. It's especially
frustrating.
It's annoying for the younger players as well, like your academy players. Like everyone sort of wants to see academy players in the team. Yeah, another consequence of FFP is that it's incentivized to sell your academy players. Look at Chelsea. I think Man City alone have made 400 million from academy players since Pep Guardiola became manager.
Wow.
Chelsea and Man City are the blueprint for what Newcastle have tried to do since the takeover. Mint is the only example where you would say they've made a real profit there on a player who was brought in. But I think they've done that with a lot of players that they've tried to do that. Like Harrison Ashby was probably brought in for that. That hasn't quite worked. Gavin Kuhl may be the same. So Man City and Chelsea have set the blueprint there for younger academy players to flip on for FFP reasons.
Yeah, I totally agree. I mean, look, it's going to be interesting. It's just a mess in a minute, but it's still not going to get cleared up just yet. It's going to take years, I think. We're that big team. We'll be linked to Mbumo. That's some coffee. So can Newcastle now seek compensation from Prem for having to sell ASM Minte Anderson, also sue for discrimination too? That's a really interesting point there, because that's been seen yesterday as well. We can actually sue the Premier League.
Yeah, I think that comes back to what one about before. Newcastle were obviously named in the case because the rules came out sort of immediately after Newcastle's takeover. I wouldn't want to speak too much on the legal stuff. You'd have to get someone on your channel sometime, John, who can go through all the legalese and stuff and all that stuff. But it's obviously clear. It's obviously crystal clear that associated party transactions were brought in because teams were fearful of Newcastle's takeover and coming in and just having crazy sponsorship deals and stuff like that. And Man City have almost been like the big brother, helping the younger brother who's been getting picked on in the playground, they've came in and have tried to sort of school bully out in a way. And we had Newcastle and Man City have got this sort of little pact going on, haven't they? The two clubs that are owned by Middle Eastern investment.
I tell you what, can you imagine Newcastle and Man City battled out for the title with 2 games left?
Well, that is the nightmare for you, like for your Man United and your Liverpool's, and probably the Premier League itself. Like Man City have won the league, was it 4 years in a row, and you can almost see Richard Masters when he's giving the trophy to Kyle Walker. I think Kyle Walker's Man City's captain now.
Yeah,
or company before him. It's almost like a through gritted teeth sort of thing, isn't it? And I think that would definitely be the case if Richard Masters was passing the trophy over to Trippier in a couple. Well, he's been too old to Newcastle in a couple of years' time.
Bruno, I tell you, Bruno Guimaraes is shy. Can you imagine that? I mean, I don't think Masters would turn up. I don't think he'd turn up if we were to
boycott it.
Hey,
he boycott it.
Yeah, boycott it.
He'll say no comment. He'll say no comment as he's passing the trophy, like he did throughout the takeover process.
I tell you what, if Richard Masters come on my channel, then we'll talk. We'll talk. We should not sign Premier League players just off Newcastle tax. We should look abroad. For example, Bruno, Botman, Isak, Tonali. Alan, we've been saying that for weeks and months and in. I mean, look, quality players out there. Guyo Corres from Sporting Lisbon, that guy is brilliant. Fantastic. He's played for Coventry, by the way. He's still a fantastic striker. Man U has also bought players at inflated prices too. But it was more poor judgment than any kind of PSR fiddle. I tell you what, they got like a 40 mil debt, like COVID as well, and they escaped PSR again. They beat PSR. I mean, they spent so much money. They're not got done yet.
It's just creating more problems than it solves, I think, PSR, hasn't it? It's just there's that many different sort of loopholes and different consequences that have popped up. It was obviously brought. I don't think it was brought in. Like 12 years ago or whenever. I don't think they brought it in to keep the big teams at the top and for academy players to be sold and like X, Y, Z. I think they probably did bring it in because they were looking like they probably did it out of good faith. You know what I mean? They probably seen like clubs going bust. They didn't want like certain owners in the league, whatever. But then how it's actually played out in reality, it definitely needs looked at again because it's sort of creating like an unfair competition.
Yeah, and that's why it is. I mean, the best league in the world. I heard people crying, but listen, it is. I mean, it's unfair, and they need to get sorted out. I think we should spend what we want. It's our club. I mean, that's how it is.
Simon Jones had a good point on TalkSport a few months back. He said when an owner goes into a new club, there should be given like a grace period where, like, let's just say 3 years, where they're allowed to invest in the business. They're allowed to upscale. I know like academy stuff, and obviously your infrastructure doesn't count as a PSR anyway. But like they can invest in players and manager or whoever for a certain period of time, because if you're almost taking over someone's property and you can't really do anything about it, isn't it? It's like great. Give them a couple of years. It's like buying an Xbox. It's like buying a PlayStation on the Facebook Marketplace secondhand and being told what games you can play. Do you know what I mean? It's like it's a little bit like that. So I do agree with that. I do think that could be something that could be looked at. Because Newcastle, it's been and gone now. It's been 3 years since the takeover.
And what a time, 3 years. Our third anniversary. Man City won their kiss. It's our third anniversary. And all of a sudden...
Were you outside the ground, John, drinking Stella?
I was in Bristol, mate. I was in Bristol. Like, I heard the news in Cardiff. I was in Cardiff when I heard the news, driving back, and kind of celebrated. And then I got back and listened to the YouTubes as well. And if my memories was right, but you know what? I was celebrating, Charlie. Don't worry about it. I was celebrating. I said, yes! When Ben Fletcher gave the breaking news on TalkSport, he said that, look, gave us the news, and it's just great news, you know what I mean? But those words came out. We got our club back. Which is great news. And
I remember the early days of the takeover, because it was like just into the first lockdown, wasn't it? Like the saga sort of became public knowledge. And everyone was just refreshing Twitter just because there was nothing else to do. You know, it was like the first lockdown, and then just refreshing Twitter all the time. Obviously, the takeover wouldn't happen for another 18 months. Hashtag cans and that, but mate, it was a mad time. It was a good day.
Oh, loved it, Charlie. Absolutely loved it. I mean, the man thinks I was mad. Couldn't stop talking about it. And then we workmates seeing about Saudi saying, like, you got the wrong rawness, you got this, you got that. I tell the shut up, man. Stop being jealous. You got to over. That is it. That is it. But what a day to be alive, eh? So I thought he was frozen, Charlie.
No, sorry, Nate. I was just checking the message I had on my phone. Sorry, I was being rude.
No, that's fine. That's fine. I'll read the comments as well. Keep them coming in. We've got another 10 minutes to go. Let's go on to Raki. Someone shouldn't fight that black belt barrister bloke on the channel. Ask him what Newcastle could do legally against the Premier League, discriminating against the Gulf State-backed teams. That is,
I think he's on about Nick DeMarco there.
That's yeah. I'll go along with that. I'd love to get Nick on. If I get him a follow, and then I'll send a DM. John, get LB Man City YouTuber. Yeah, that's Martin Mancunian Weir, fantastic guy, and Keith Patterson on shore. Yeah, I've got to give him a direct message as well. Later on, even Brighton and SV Loans they did answered also, I believe, and got one here from Wacky. The amount of investment by new owners should be based on what the club needs to do, facilities and infrastructure. Wise to Chelsea basically got a reset when Boy took over. They spent over £1 billion, Chelsea, right? And they still not got done by PSR.
Crazy. I think I might be right in saying that obviously PSR goes over a 3-year period at the minute.
Yeah.
I think Chelsea's Champions League winning year drops out this season. So if they don't get Champions League, they're looking good for it at the minute for that 4th spot. They're looking good for European football, but if they would have some sort of drop off or whatever, I think Chelsea could be in some problems next season.
100%.
They've had nothing. Obviously, they've got Conference League this year, haven't they? But
yeah, they'll probably win that as well, to be fair. And Cole Palmer's not even in the squad.
I think they can bring him in later in the season. Second off, if obviously they're going to get through the knockouts to the knockout stages. I think they can bring him in then.
100%. We go another 5 more minutes and then we're going to wrap the show up. I know you're a busy guy. No, we're not good enough as we stood still for 2. Yeah, that's from being. You know what it is, right?
Cheer up, man, Biado. Cheer up, brother. It's not all doom and gloom. It's not all doom and gloom. The better times are coming.
Yep. Absolutely. We're going to spend some money, Beard. We're going to spend some money once this PSR lark on Man City. Obviously, we won, but once this new rules come into play, we're going to spend. We can have the sponsorship we want, man.
Mate, imagine just a hypothetical situation where they give Newcastle 1 transfer window. They went right for 1 transfer window. You can do whatever you want. There's no whatever you spend in this transfer window does not go on the PSR book. Imagine how wild that would be, especially if it's a January window.
Exactly. Yeah, man.
That'll be a busy month.
We'll be spending like flipping Havertz, mate. We'll be the Havertz of Newcastle. Do you know what I mean?
I think every club in the Premier League would be rich as well. It would be like red panty night for them because they just put the prices of every player. They'll put an extra 0 in the end, and Newcastle would pay it. So Piff want to spend the money. You know what I mean? No, Piff aren't tight. Do you know what I mean? They're not tight with their money. Piff obviously would want to spend it as maximum as they can. Obviously, they're looking at the ways for the new stadium now. That's going to cost a few quid. So I've seen a few people question whether they're still committed. They're still committed. It's just Yasser Al-Rumayyan from day one was always talking about PSR, and so was Eddie Howe. And it was a little bit like the boy who cried wolf for a while, but then in time, obviously, everybody's realised that the rules can sting you in the end.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, talk to you on a new stadium, for me, I mean, they're on about extending it and or probably have a new stadium. But for me, I'm half and half on this now. Should we build a new stadium to move with the times, or should we just stay where we're at and just modernise it?
You asking me? Yeah?
Yeah.
Now, it's interesting now because I wrote an article last week where I detached my own opinion from it, and I wrote a for and I wrote an against. And I found that when I was thinking for 4 new stadium, it was all the things that I don't like about football. Like why I was saying it was good for it was like the potential to play NFL here, PSR, like stuff like that. Like it was all money driven and stuff like that. And I accept that the modern game obviously is very focused, geared towards that. And then when I come to against, it was all the things that I actually love about football. It was like, you know, like the history of the 140 years that football being played at St James's Park. It was the fact it's in the city centre. It's the fact that when I drive in from the West End, Newcastle, past the town where I can see it. You come over from Gateshead, you can see it. You're at the top of Commercial Road and Beggar, you can see the stadium. It was the fact of, you know, people's granddads have watched Newcastle play football there. People's dads, you know, aunties, uncles, brothers. Like, so it felt like a head and heart decision. So my preference would always be heart, especially when it comes to football. And it would be to stay at St James's Park and try and expand it if possible. But one, what's the word I'm looking for here? One other avenue that I don't think I would be against at all would be if they were to build on the same site. Maybe it's the same thing what they did with the Wembley, like build a new Wembley, like if they were to build a new St James's Park on that site. I think that would be something that would be a good little halfway house. Maybe you could obviously move the perimeter of the stadium slightly, like away from Leazes Park Terrace. But I think anything that was to do with taking the stadium outside of the city centre would just be a total no-go. Obviously, you've got bars. Like, it would just kill the whole of the tune off. All the pubs, you know, your hospitality, your hotels, your restaurants, everything would be, within a few years, it would be kaput. That's my thoughts on it anyway.
Yeah. Fair enough. I mean, I can understand your feelings as well, but I'd just love to stay at St James's Park if possible. But if we have to move on, then I'll go where the club wants to do. We'll get a new stadium, cool. I take a new stadium. If we stay at St James's Park, cool. We'll just stay with it. You know what I mean? But if you extend it, great. But I
forgot to mention, obviously, if they were built on the current site, the question would be where would Newcastle play for a few years? Now, to take them out of the city temporarily, I think some people would accept that, you know what I mean? But any idea to take them out of the city centre permanently should be a total non-starter. But if they were to build like the World Cup sort of style stadium where it was sort of temporary pop up for a few years while St James's Park got rebuilt, I think that could be a possible option. But my preference would be to stay where the stadium is now.
Yeah. That's fair enough. I mean, yeah, we'll have to see what happens on that one. But it'd be nice to stay at St James's to get a new stadium, cool. But I'll go with it. I'll go with you, mate. I was chatting to Beard. Got a couple more comments before we wrap up the show. Where does John and Charlie think will finish if we continue on this current form? I said top 6. I mean, obviously you said earlier on, didn't you? You can make Europe this season.
Yeah, it's still early doors, isn't it? But I think they'll get top 6. I think they'll finish 6th. If I had a gun to my head, I'd say 6th. But I don't think there's any reason why they can't. You've got so many variables in players, and there's what happens in Europe with other teams. There's how well does the January transfer window go? But I think they'll finish 6th. I think they'll finish above Man United. I think that's a given. I think they'll finish above Tottenham.
Cool.
Villa and Chelsea. I think Villa and Chelsea are the 2 teams that Newcastle are going to be sort of competing with. I throw Tottenham in there as well. I just think Newcastle finishes above them. So Tottenham, Villa and Chelsea. I think they're the 3 teams that I think Newcastle need to be looking out for their results.
Yeah, that. And we already beat Tottenham. We have to beat Chelsea in one of the games, and we have to beat Villa once at least. So we've done Villa double over Villa last year. We could do it again, but Villa are a much stronger side as well.
I think Villa's sort of rabbit up, like sort of ace up their sleeve that Villa have got is Unai Emery. I think he's been there, done that in Europe, hasn't he?
He has.
It's not just the fans that it's new for the fans. It's new for most of the players, but they've got a manager that's been there and done it. And when he's steering the ship, I think Villa might be a bit all right in Europe. The format helps them as well. Like Villa would have been in a group of death like Newcastle if it was the same format. So the format does it gives you 4 home games, 4 away games. They're not all against big boys. Yeah, I think Villa are actually going to do all right in the Champions League this year.
Yeah, I think they will. I think they'll probably get the last 16, probably the last 8 under this manager. And I tell you what, Unai's done brilliant, absolutely fantastic. Lads, who would you sign in what position? Definitely up front and the right side of mid. And we need a defender as well. So defender, right side mid, another striker.
Anything else, John? Just a new team, a new keeper, new left winger?
No. I'll be up front, Charlie. I'll be up front, mate.
No, right winger for me. I couldn't tell you. Embuemo before that was an unbelievable suggestion. There'll be someone out there on the continent, one of these people who are unbelievable with stats and stuff. There'll be someone out there who the Premier League players, obviously Newcastle there's a little bit of a tag at them at the minute where it's like, oh, Eddie Howe only buys English. He's a Brexit manager and stuff. I don't believe that because Alexander Isak, Tonali, Sven Botman, Bruno Guimaraes. I do think if there's a player there, I think Newcastle and Eddie Howe would go for it. But right winger all day.
Yeah. We'll see. I was going to say, we've got to wait and see in the next January window as well. And we'll go big. The club's value has increased by over 3.5 times from when takeover happened. So surely you should be able to spend big money in windows. That's wacky. And would you prefer to win versus Chelsea or be in the Prem? Would you prefer to win versus Chelsea to be in the Premier League Cup? I want to win them both, mate. I want to win them both. The league's going to be tough. It's going to be difficult. But Cups, we can do it. But we have to play a lot better than we did against Wimbledon, man. Yes, we've got enough keepers. Coffee, have indeed. Can we put in a bid for Cole Palmer? I tell you what, he's on 9 years at Chelsea. There's absolutely no chance.
Yeah, that'll be like you could put a bid in for him. I mean, you could be a bit cheeky and put a bid in, but you're not going to get him. It would be like you can go on Football Manager. You can go on Football Manager, as Gates said, and put like a 10 grand bid in for Ronaldo. You're not going to get him. So you could put a bid in for him. There's no reason why you couldn't. But you're not going to get him.
You know what, Coffee? You got more chance of getting Patsy Palmer than Cole Palmer. Let's put it that way. And on that bombshell, we're going to wrap the show up because I know you're a busy guy, and it's been a pleasure getting you on, Charlie B. Honestly, you've been absolutely ace, and you got a legend behind you as well, Bob Marley. I love that singer.
I'll show you another one actually. Look, I've got another one that you like. Look. I don't know if the light in this will show you very well. So that's a Blackwater pub in Newcastle there.
Yeah.
You've got You've got Eddie Howe, you've got Miggy Almiron, you've got Bruno, and you've got Dan Burn all on the peeve, I would say, the Blackwater. You can't see it really because of the light, but that's probably better than the Bob Marley one.
Oh wow. Oh my God. I tell you what, they must love their reggae music, like, you know what I mean? I don't mind reggae. But I've never been in Jamaica or Barbados and that stuff. I would love to do it, man. I've got to do it at some stage in my career. So, and listen to Bob Marley as well, because he is an absolute ledge.
100%, brother. We're going to agree on that one.
Ledge, absolute ledge. And can Patsy Palmer play right side mid? I tell you what, she'll probably give it a go. I tell you that for now, Coffee. Oh, bless you. Gotta bless him, man. You gotta love Coffee. He's a brilliant contributor as well. And so where can we find you, Charlie, on your socials, man, so people can find these?
Just at Charlie Bennett, mate. No flashy about my Twitter handle, it's just, but I'm always tweeting there, giving me opinion on Newcastle. Most people probably think I'm talking nonsense half the time, but that's why I'm on Twitter anyways. Charlie Bennett.
I really love your tweets as well, Charlie. We love your tweets. You make us laugh as well. And, something you come out, man, I'm thinking, wow. And absolute legend, Charlie. You legend. And I'm surprised Longstaff hasn't been given an extension on contract, the length of Scientology contract, 1 million years. Can you honestly see this guy signing a new deal, or do you think it's time for him to move on? I know you're a fan of him.
I put him in that camp that I said before with Murphy and Kraft, where I think obviously people give him a hard time. I don't think he's Champions League level, nowhere near it. I think if he was willing to accept being a squad player, he's know his role. I don't have a problem with Longstaff staying. I would definitely give him at least a short-term deal. Otherwise, he's going to leave for nothing. You'll get a few quid from him off a lower half Premier League team.
Yeah,
but he's not. He shouldn't be anywhere near the starting lineup. But I would have no problem keeping him as a sort of squad player.
Yeah, fat, absolute fat. Just don't need him. I mean, if someone came in for him, I'd say thanks, Sean, but I think you need to get someone. You need to upgrade.
What do you think you get for him? 15 million?
Now?
15, 20 million, something like that. Obviously not now because his contract's running out. But if you
not now, but not now.
Say you give him a 2-year contract.
Yeah.
2.5-year contract, so he's got 2 years left on his deal in the summer.
Yeah.
I think a team would take 15, 20 million from him. Because if you're a bottom half Premier League team, what Newcastle were when the takeover happened, he's a decent player for that level of a team. But he's just not where Newcastle have surpassed that now. Do you know what I mean? Newcastle need to be looking forward. Newcastle need to be looking for the next level. So, 100%. Like I said, if he wanted to be a squad player, if he was willing to accept being a squad player, I wouldn't have anything against Longstaff staying.
Yeah. I mean, look, if he does short-term contract and get 15, 20 mil, I'd take it all day long. More money. And that is also 100% profits as well through the PSR as well. So that would help. But for me, I fear that he's going to sign a new deal. I hope I'm wrong, but I really do fear. But if you're going to move forward, then we can't have him. Lads, how's our best player? Anthony Gordon or Palmer? For me, we love Anthony. We do love him. I think he's amazing. But you've got to say Palmer all day long for me. You've got to say Palmer all day long.
He's probably the best, most informed English player right now, Cole Palmer. So
100%.
You couldn't bat against Cole Palmer, but I like both of them. Do you know what I mean? You see, it was a picture of the European Championships, wasn't it? Really, I think it was this last 16, and Palmer and Gordon were both sitting there on the bench, like not even getting a kick.
Crazy, isn't it?
Cole Palmer would shade it for me.
Crazy, man, isn't it? But Cole Palmer really played brilliantly in the final. Absolutely brilliant when he came on. Thanks, Alan. Thanks so much. Please don't want to have a heart headache. My comments were relating 36. I'll gather that. And thank F for that. Wacky. Brilliant. So listen, thanks so much for coming on, my guy. I will do backstage very quickly. The chat, you've been absolutely amazing. Thank you so much for coming on the channel as well. I'll be back on in half an hour's time where I've planned Faz on, a big United fan as well. Please don't miss it because I tell you what, he's a big YouTuber. Support me, support Faz as well. We're going to talk about Ten Hag. We're going to talk about Eddie Howe. We're going to talk about lots of things as well. So if you like the video, like what you watch, and thank you, Coffee. Make sure you like and subscribe. I'll see you back in half an hour's time. So don't miss it. And watch what you're doing and take care.